What is going on, Chris? I believe we are live. Can you see me? Can you hear me? All
Uh,
of you out there, can you see us and hear us?
I don't know, but who knows? Hey guys,
I think we're good. We're good. We're good. You chat.
what's happening, everybody? It is episode 65 of the Virtual Boys podcast. My name is Chris. This handsome gentleman here is Ryan from the VR Grid. I guess I'm from the VR
Hello.
Grid now too.
Yeah, right. All right. Little force, little old habits kicking up there.
Little habits kicking in. Guys, welcome to the episode. This is a follow up from last week's episode where we have been going through all the PSVR 2 games that have been officially announced. So they're on our radar. Ryan's done a lot of work compiling a list with release dates and information. And so we're going through every single game alphabetically. There's a lot of games. It not going to happen in one episode. Obviously, this is episode 2. Probably not going to happen in 2 episodes, but we'll see what we see as we carry on through here. But thanks for joining us. There's some very interesting games here that aren't necessarily being talked about. So, where I see that Da Vinci's saying that we are coming through loud and clear. So, thanks for the thumbs up there. Yeah,
Woo! We sound good. I did it.
guys, if you're joining us live, even if you're not joining us live, please hit that like button. Really appreciate it. Helps us kind of forge through the algorithm. And of course, subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, and don't forget to check out our review today for The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2. And the reason I'm doing this is because for some odd reason, there seems to be no reviews up, with the exception of Cass and Sherry. So, and they're not your normal Walking Dead, I guess, audience. So,
I haven't watched the review. I should just. It'd be so funny if one of them just with a chainsaw pulling a shug.
yeah, maybe
I
they're
would. I
just
would
like
enjoy that.
super fucked up like us. I don't know. Yeah, but anyways, check that out, guys. Let us know what you think. Um, you played the PC version mainly. I played the Quest version mainly. Um, I don't know. What was your takeaway from it, Ryan? You didn't really get a chance to weigh in on the review.
Well, I mean, I didn't get a chance to play the Quest version, obviously. I only had to play the PC because, once again, like I just got my Quest 2 controller back, which was awesome. Except, because of our little review shenanigans, I had to give Shug my actual Quest so he could print out the review. So I got my controller back, but I don't have my Quest 2. So I've been only got to play on the PC, and the PC we knew was a very early build. So what you played sounds like basically what I played, only obviously with super downgraded visuals. And I guess you can talk about your review. It's Saints and Sinners 1.5. It's more of the same with a few tweaks here and there. I'm not saying more of the same like it's a bad thing. It's just more. It's just more of the first game with a little bit extra.
It is, I would say, and I don't think I said this in my review. I would say it's probably what everybody kind of hoped Aftershocks was going to be. Like Aftershocks, I think everyone was hoping that everybody knew that that was DLC. And so they knew it was more. They knew it was a continuation. And I think the general consensus was that people were pretty underwhelmed with Aftershocks, that it wasn't really that much more. I mean, it was more an excuse to just level up all the way and go kick some ass with a few more mobs of NPCs and such, and get more crafting material. It was more of a go be a badass, like after all the grinding that you did in the first game, just because by the time you kind of got to that upper tier, the game was over. This is what I think people hoped it was going to be. Now, is this what
This
people
is even more.
but is like but this is actually more like there are actually new areas. There's actually more story and another story with new characters. There are some additional mechanics added, like the night run missions. There are bigger and badder weapons like the grenade launcher and the chainsaw, which is awesome. But it is definitely still, I don't want to, well, I get hindered by the fact that it is still running on that same game engine, and it plays exactly the same. Like just from the way you move to the way things get holstered to the way you heal and the inventory and the backpack and
Well,
just
I
the
don't
way
like change, so that's great.
zombies react and everything. Like that's what I said. I said in my review, it's more of the same, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's you're talking about one of the best games ever for VR. But like, excuse me, if Half-Life Alyx 2 came out tomorrow, people would lose their mind. But if it was pretty much just like more of the city and just exactly the same with a few new weapons, I know people would be saying like, "Well, it's awesome. It's more Alex, right?" But like, we're already getting that from the mods, from the workshop. It's kind of like that. Almost feels like what this is. It's not a real sequel. It's not like you're jumping back in and you're like, "Holy crap, we have to rediscover the whole world again." Like, oh, it's everything's so different. The gore system's not really more advanced. You can see them almost breaking their engine just to make the chainsaw work through those
Which
enemies.
on the PC, by the way, was friggin' that was so satisfying.
And it
So I
is. It's still awesome on the quest. I told you sometimes it almost like felt like it was seizing up the quest. But there's times where it like kind of like saws right through their head, and then you're kind of like, well, where did that head actually go? And it's like there's some trickery going on to make that work. But anyways, all in, I enjoyed it. But my takeaway was playing the Quest 2 version was kind of painful when you know that there's better versions on the horizon. Um,
right.
and there's a like I said in my you know what, I'm not even gonna ruin it. You go watch my review, guys. You go watch my full review. And then we'll talk. Then we'll talk. What else you been playing, Ryan?
The only other thing I've been playing, I guess I can't really talk about, and that's Hubris. So unfortunately, I'm under embargo. You can go find my demo, I guess, and I'll say what I said in the demo. It looks pretty AF. It is one of the prettiest looking VR games I've ever seen, but I can't really say more than that.
Yep, yep. Ryan and I have been having some conversations because I've been playing Lonn, Lonn on PC, which is another very decently looking PC game where the question starts to come up like, is it just looks? And that's kind of a conversation maybe for another episode of how we've been so starved for visually impressive games these days, and it's kind of like sometimes it almost you gotta like do a reality check and go, okay, 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 this does look great, but it's not a great game. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's what is going on over there with Hubris, but we've been having conversations back and forth about this kind of dilemma of us getting maybe overly excited about pretty looking PC VR games when we've been so used to Quest and lackluster PSVR titles as of late. So yeah, I've been playing Compound, which is a PC game that's coming to Quest
Next week.
December 8th, I believe. And it's
Yes.
not under embargo, so I can talk a little bit about it.
Well, it's already out on PC, so you can
Yeah,
really.
right. There's no embargo for the Quest. I mean, I can tell you right now, the Quest version looks almost exactly like the PC version, almost identical, which is awesome. Given the art style, that it's like almost like it's kind of pixel art stuff, super retro throwback to shooters with kind of a neon 80s synthwave kind of vibe, which is exactly what it is. Even the music is synthwave, which is I'm enjoying it. It's awesome. The I would say the gunplay is a little meh. Like it's better than Shock Troopers, but I wouldn't say the characters are necessary. It's not exactly like riveting gunplay. It's a roguelite, and I would
Mm.
say I'm enjoying it, but it's a little dry. So I got to play more before I comment too much on it. But it's priced like $19, so it might be a fun pick up and play for those looking for something to shoot their way through. But I mean, let's why talk about games that are coming out now when we can talk about games that might be coming out in the next few years, Ryan?
So for those of us just joining us here, this is part 2 of our confirmed PSVR 2 games. And I say confirmed with quotes because once again, we've seen trailers. Developers have said it's coming to PSVR. Everything's all but confirmed, but we obviously saw in PSVR 1, we got trailers for games that never saw the light of day for the headset. So confirmed is with that little asterisk there. Like I said, as far as I know, everyone says it's coming. So with that out of the way, like I said, we ended up our last episode on Green Hell VR, and we're gonna start this one with what I forget now, Grimlord. So I got it right here, Grimlord. So let me just get to that trailer here right now. I was letting this stuff play. Chris, you know more about this than I do, so please tell me about Grimlord.
Well, it was on a limited early access release on PC. It was what the heck was it now? It was like a Steam Fest thing that was happening late in, I believe it was in August, and they had the demo up there for a while, and I managed to grab that because it looked cool. And yes, this is they say it's coming to PSVR too. If you can see the trailer there though. You It looks like I guess it looks like it fits the bill for a combat kind of sandbox type of game. It looks like Ryan was like, "Oh yeah, it's that Blade and Sorcery like kind of wannabe," and that's doesn't seem to be what the developers are going for. Like, I mean, which is awesome because one of the things that I have a problem with Blade and Sorcery is that as fun as it is to go around uh, slice and dice and mutilate everybody, especially with some gore mods on, because I'm fucked up like that. Uh, there's not like a real lot of point to it. They've added kind of a dungeon crawling aspect to it, but there's really not a lot to it. Um, Whereas Grimlord looks like they're trying to be a Souls game. I'm a huge Souls fan. Um, no one's done a Souls game in VR. I would say the closest we've gotten, and it's damn close in some ways, at least for kind of the pacing and the vibe of it, would be In Death.
Hmm.
Very much a Souls game, mixed with like a rogue light game loop. But it's tough with combat, man, because of anybody who plays Souls games, especially if you're kind of hardcore into them like I am. I mean, it's all about kind of like reading those enemy movements and learning them, and kind of, and like almost like it's almost like a combat puzzle game. And a lot of it is all based on like what your move sets are versus their move sets. And it's a finely tuned, it's an art craft of pacing, and like how fast do you roll, and how and stagger and parry, and what's your range, and what's your all your additional abilities versus their move sets. And VR doesn't necessarily lend itself to that kind of like level of finesse, and an exact timing and stuff, because you can break it. Like, you know, either they do you do something like Until You Fall, where it's very telegraphed. you know that's one way how they've kind of, I'm not saying it's a Souls game, but that's one way they tried to get around that combat aspect. Gollum comes to mind too. Or it's a flail fest. You can add weight physics like Blade and Sorcery did. But you still got this issue of, I don't know. It's too soon to tell. You can see some people playing it live on YouTube as well, playing the demo, and you can see that it's janky. It looks a lot like Blade and Sorcery. You can definitely see that they're going for characters that have more specific move sets. You can really see the weight shift in guys with like big axes, and they've got moves, but you know, it still looks a little sloppy, because you see him kind of like "Rah!" And I don't know. We'll see. I really want to see somebody nail a Souls game in VR.
Yeah, that's the best thing you just described. The fact that it has a campaign excites me. My biggest complaint about Blade and Sorcery is that it doesn't. Really don't like arena battlers. Not to say I don't hate them. They just don't entertain me very long. Just because I get bored. I get bored of messing around. I get bored of killing guys for no reason. Like I need a reason to play a game besides physics and stabbing. I just need more than that. So throw a campaign on this thing. I'm excited. Even Blade and Sorcery, as lame as the little one stage they give you was on the in the actual game now. I'm not sure if that's changed since the Quest launch. I still enjoyed just like get to the end. They're good enough. Get to the end, kill some guys. I just need something more than just like round one fight, and then you just fight some guys. But that being, and not to talk about Blade and Sorcery here, the fact you're saying Grimlord is kind of like a Souls game and does have this, like a potential campaign and everything else, that excites me. And it looks good. And the trailer looks good. I know you said there's a pretty big jank factor to what the actual game looks like, but from what I'm seeing here, it looks good.
It
I mean,
doesn't look. It's not brutal. It looks like the type of jank you'd expect from kind of a free for all combat game, where there's just arms and legs and weapons and just clanging and falling around and stuff. It looks very Blade and Sorcery. That's not a bad thing. And like you said, if it's got a point. But that being said, I mean, it's a tough one, because if you don't nail the progression, and the feeling of a Souls game, and if it's not a really decent like campaign, the way that whole unfolds, and the kind of the RPG systems, then at that point you might as well just be a sandbox game, which is probably kind of like what Blade and Sorcery, they've
mhm,
done fine with that. I think there's a place for that. I actually, on my PC, it's probably some of those games get the most time, is when my friends come over, and their kids come over. That's all they want to play. They want to play
mhm,
Blade and Sorcery. They want to play Hell Split Arena. They want to play Hard Bullet. Especially Hard Bullet just keeps patching. I mean, I don't even know if you've played Hard Bullet much other than here at my place,
just your place.
but Hard Bullet just keeps going. So those of you who have PCs, if you're looking for sandbox game that has a lot of like guns and mutilations, and it's a good time in VR. It's definitely, it doesn't get the fanfare that it should.
All right, so I mean, we can. You just failed horribly this last episode, but I'm still going to do the number scale for hype.
Yep.
I'm going to throw this at like a 7. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what this brings to the table.
I'll go with a 7. With a very strong possibility of it going up from there if it continues to prove itself. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yep.
Ooh, this is exciting. It's Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue. Woo!
Launch title probably. For
Yeah,
business.
once again, you can already pre-order it now. I believe it's in
I
the
think you can
PlayStation
play it
Store.
in flat. I think I
Well,
actually saw it in the store the other day.
I don't. Is it? Oh, well, it's actually a series, and this is I should have done my homework on this
okay.
thing because I didn't know this is actually like an ongoing series, and apparently it's like relatively popular. Not big, but it gets, I guess, a lot of praise. So I mean, this very much looks like a very cartoonish version of what was that hide and seek game? Something hide and seek.
Yeah, I
Oh
just did this for my horror.
man, I know, right? And I
Series.
told you about that one.
Yeah,
Dang it.
I know it's hide and seek something something something.
Yeah. But it's a game on PlayStation 1. I actually really enjoyed it. You were played as a kid who basically had to hide from these like murderers
Yep.
in the house. Intruders hide and seek.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that kind of gameplay. This is obviously a lot more kid friendly. Everything's very cartoonish. It looks like it's the same kind of thing. A little more story possibly. Um I do like that type of gameplay. I'm kind of excited for that. I mean, the cartoon thing doesn't really bother me as long as they kind of do the stealth thing properly. It doesn't really matter at all if it looks cartoonish. Um, for those that do care, this is going to launch on the original PSVR as well. And if you do buy it, it is a free upgrade apparently. So there's that. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know too much about the franchise, so I can't say. But I mean, like, so if they get stealth right, I always love stealth in VR. It's always a treat.
Let me ask you a question here, talking about being ported to PSVR.
Okay, 2.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolutely definitely, 1 being no, how likely do you think it is that that Skydance will actually port The Walking Dead to PSVR 1?
100%.
Okay.
Because they said they're going to do physical. If they
Agreed.
didn't say they were doing physical, I would have said 50. I mean, the fact they don't have a date nailed down for that.
And the fact that on the information that we got for them, it said when it's ready is, I'm putting that out there for PSVR headsets just to know how non-committal they are in the verbiage that I got from them.
with the caveat being that it has to launch before PSVR 2 drops. If it launches on PSVR 1 after PSVR 2, it almost doesn't matter.
You know what? I disagree with that. I actually have a feeling they may launch it at the same time.
And look, the same time's fine. Same time,
I think they
same
might.
day is fine.
I think they might just blow it out and do the on PSVR 1 and 2, like, available now type thing, because I still see quite a few comments in the review, for example, and in the preview we did for Walking Dead, of people saying, well, I'll get it on the PSVR 1. Like a PSVR 2 just isn't in the cards for a lot of people, whether they don't have a PS5, so then it's a huge investment, or they just can't find a PS5 depending on where they live, or they've been trying to look for it.
Well, we haven't confirmed
You know,
if it's a free upgrade either, right? For this one, we don't know that, do we?
No, but no, I don't think they have. They have because they're not saying much about PSVR. Excuse me, one version. But what they have confirmed is that cross buy is going to be a thing for the Quest and PC VR version.
Right,
So like
right.
if you guys buy it on the Quest, you'll get the PC version when it launches. And so I would say the fact that they've done that for PC, very likely, very likely. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because the PSVR 1 version and the PSVR 2 versions are going to be very, very different um, architecture that those two versions are running on. But I'm going to guess they're still going to make it a free upgrade. I think they will.
I would assume so as well, but I mean, it honestly has to release no later than the PSVR 2. If it releases after the PSVR 2, that just feels so ass backwards. That's like releasing after the fall for the Quest 1. Oh wait, that didn't happen like it was supposed to. Never mind.
Well,
But oh,
I
Do you have a
was
topic?
say, no, I was gonna say, well, Ryan gets his shit together. Space Denizen, Dark Angel, Johnny, Brandon, welcome to chat.
Why wasn't my shit together?
Because you're the no, well, no, never mind.
No, I was not.
What's the
I was
next
gonna.
game?
No. You never give me your thoughts on Hello Neighbor at all.
Oh, I thought I
You didn't.
did.
You didn't say a
Maybe I
single
did.
thing.
I
You're
think
just
I
like, hey, I
had
want
the
to talk about Saints and
conversation.
Sinners some more, man.
Oh, that's true. I had the conversation in my head. Hello Neighbor. I'll use your hype rating. Because it looks pretty polished.
That was a 6. You said, sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty
Sure.
polished, I would say, from what we've seen of it. But it's not the type of game that I want as a launch title. Like I feel like it. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
never gave a number for mine. Yeah, no, a 6 is fine for me. I too. It feels like one of those games where if I wasn't playing anything and I saw this thing on sale, I'd be like, oh, let's check this out. And I think I'd hope I'd be pleasantly surprised.
If I was Sony, I would have. I mean, I don't know. I gotta hope. I gotta hope that there's some planning going on behind the scenes there, and it's not just like whatever's ready is being hyped as launch titles.
That'd be
uh,
funny.
it definitely. It wouldn't have been what I would have like been promoting as my launch lineup. I feel like I just still think Sony should be very careful with this launch lineup. I think it should be premier titles with a few oddballs for counter programming, and this could be one of those titles. But
I mean, we will be doing a launch episode sooner than later. I'm not ready to do it yet because we don't really have a lot of I still think we're still waiting for one
I'm
more
expecting
big thing.
one big. I'm expecting one big unveiling of games in the new year
Yep.
on the blog.
Man, you're not wrong at all. I wish it wasn't the blog, but you're not wrong at all. But I'm still waiting for one more big like full announcement, and
You know
then
what I am expecting, and I think that if Sony doesn't do this, I'll be like I'll be like, fuck you guys. Is that I think that they need to do one dedicated, what you call it, state of play.
state of play. They do, will they? I mean, I doubt it, but they've been really slacking with state of plays too, really. So they haven't really been doing those at all either. So who knows? Who knows what their plans are? Only Sony knows, and whoever their marketing guys for VR is either pulling his teeth out because he can't do anything, or is terrible at his job. So, moving on, we got another arena game that you've played that I've played briefly, and that's Hellsplit Arena, a game that was supposed to come to PSVR 1 that never did because oh no, it wasn't supposed to. They said the PSVR 1 just couldn't handle it.
No, you're thinking of
Yeah.
that
I
other
can't.
one.
I corrected myself.
I know. No, I'm thinking of Undead Citadel. I think is what you were thinking of.
Yeah. So, anyways, Hellsplit Arena. Once again, my same thing applies. It's super polished. I've played it at your place. It's fun for 10 minutes because you can mess around and kill things, and then there's nothing else to do, and it gets boring, and I don't care. So 6, go.
Okay, so it's another game like Hard Bullet that is like I mean like every couple weeks they patch it and they're like decent patches. By the time Hellsplit Arena comes to PSVR 2, it's going to be something to talk about. Some people are going to be really excited about it. It's super polished. Visually, it's freaking stunning. It's a beautiful looking game. I mean, they've added horse riding. They just added weapons. So they got like flintlocks and they've got like I think they've got I haven't even been in it since they added guns, but they've added guns now. And they're further ahead than Blade and Sorcery with kind of implementing some kind of a dungeon crawling thing. But you're right, it's a tough one because it's not as openly sandboxy fun as Blade and Sorcery. Like you just can't be as creative in some ways with the kills. It doesn't have the big mod community behind it. That's probably the biggest thing. But man, is it ever gorgeous. And there's like dungeon levels where you can literally just like pick up creatures and like jam their heads into guillotines and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to." Yeah, nope, a little basket under their head. You need to walk around with their head in the basket. Come on, that's family fun entertainment that everyone can get involved in. I think you know what, like I played it, but my hype rating is pretty high on that. It's going to be good for PSVR 2. People are going to love it. There's no announcement of Blade and Sorcery, so there's a huge need for that kind of title right now. There's a void at least for just just something to go mutilate some shit in VR. It's good. It's good fun to throw friends into, right? It's a good living room game.
It's a good living room game.
And man, the horse riding is pretty awesome. Like if you guys are like what is he talking about? I did a video months ago called the most violent games in VR or something like that. and it made one of my top 5 most violent games, and I had a lot of fun with that. So go watch me be an ass.
They're watching you be an ass right now.
Next.
It was there. What's your hype rating for that guy?
Oh, that's true. I didn't give you a number.
We're playing this game. I refuse to
I'm
give it
giving it
up.
an 8.
An 8. Wow,
An
look at him
8.
go. He's finally excited over something. All right, moving on. We're going to Horizon Call of the Mountain, the potentially world's greatest tech demo in the history. I don't know, man. I'm being harsh. We haven't played the game, obviously. Horizon, man. I haven't played the series myself. I keep meaning to before this thing drops just to dabble. Man, I know, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at the same time, I'm sure there's a few people out there who haven't played Horizon who, for the first time experience, to me, it's the same thing as Skyrim. If I can go back in time and tell younger self, dude, wait for VR, it'll blow your mind. Cool, awesome. So in my mindset, going into the world of Horizon for the first time in VR might be pretty cool and something that, there's a takeaway from that. I don't mind going in that blind. That being said, I mean, it looks pretty AF. It's definitely probably the best looking game we've seen for the PSVR 2 so far, outside of maybe RE7, but just because this is like huge environments and it just looks pretty as F. Now, unfortunately, we found out that the combat is on the rails, where you can only move left or right in a circle around your target. So that is super concerning because it turns combat into less of it removes that freedom that you want out of a VR game. It also allows for some other things as well, but I think I don't know. I'm worried about
Shut
that.
up. You don't even know that you haven't played the games. Let me talk.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not done talking. Sorry, I'm not talking.
Go
But
ahead.
no, but that being said, I mean they're promising what a 7 or 8 or 10 hour, 9 hour campaign, something like that. It's a damn near full priced game.
Yeah.
$60 US, I think, is our price on this thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it can do, only because I think they're trying to appeal to. This is a title that's appealing to the masses, right? I mean, this is Horizon. This is a pretty big flagship title as far as PlayStation goes, and this is what they were launching on PlayStation VR. This franchise. It was like best game of the year. Like this average person, like come
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I know why it's playing it safe. I get why it's playing it safe. I would love if there was like a don't play it safe mode and just like let you free roam the arena, but I get it. I'm still looking forward to playing this thing. I'm still throwing this at an 8. Despite my concerns, I'm still pretty pumped to see what this thing can deliver upon. And utilizes all the tech, all the head haptics,
Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
eye tracking, all that stuff. Like this should utilize all. It should be like the demo for what this PSVR can do, P2 can do, and for that reason alone, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I
I
would say
mean,
it's kinda like if you wanna look at the PS5 as an example, this is their even though what I'm gonna compare it to was packaged in with the PS5, but it is their Astrobot. Because Astro's Playroom or whatever the heck they called it when it came out on
mhm.
PS5 was the showpiece, you know? Like, it's like when I had friends come over to see my new PS5, I was like, "Here, this is everything. It's gorgeous, and it's using all the haptics, all the sounds, like, it's maxing out," and you're right. Like, from the dual haptics on the controllers, to the haptics in the headset, to the eye tracking, the display it's just gonna pop on that display. It's gonna be absolutely freaking gorgeous. I don't know. I'm really pumped for this, but like you said, and I can see in chat there, um, is it's there's some flags that kind of like I think somebody said it's gonna be for VR babies. I definitely think this is Sony's this is their big huge catch all flagship show off title. They don't want to scare anyone off. This is not good. I mean, hopefully you can crank up the difficulty and turn off the comfort settings to have a little more fun with it if you're more of a VR veteran. But
I doubt that, by the way. But
I think you're gonna turn the comfort settings off. You better be.
oh, for sure, yeah, for
Yeah.
that, yeah, sorry, that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's what I said to Ryan. The when we saw the early footage and people were just like losing their shit about it, I was like, okay, but I'm like, it looks pretty linear, man. Like everything looks like it's kind of down a corridor. And I don't like to use the word on rails, but I mean like I'm gonna guess that like a lot of this title is gonna be very show off. Like lots of narrative, and they'll be pulling out all the budget they've seen. Like you haven't played them, but like the newest Horizon game, Forbidden West, the voice acting and the motion capture is so good, especially it was good before, but the motion capture now is, like, insane, and if it's at that level, which I would imagine it would be,
Mhm.
even though it's not Guerrilla making this game, not like I mean, it's Firesprite, the guys who did,
I'm okay with that.
Persistent.
I'm
Yeah, it's
okay with
fine.
that.
They know VR, I'm actually happy with that. But just to know that this is not the Guerrilla team, even though they were probably involved in it. I looks like they took all the assets from Forbidden West, which again, I'm fine with because to see that shit in VR is gonna be mind-blowing. I don't think this is gonna be a tech demo. Um,
I'm being
it's
dramatic when I say that. I
no, but
mean,
some people have saed that it's going to be tech I think it's gonna be tech demo-y-ish. I think some of what it's supposed to be is a tech demo. It's gonna be a game that's very easy to put friends and family into. I think that's what they want it to be. I'm that concerns me that there not might not be a lot of depth to the gameplay, like, for those of you who've played the Forbidden West games, um, especially the new one, it's got a fairly in-depth, RPG system with like 5 different skill trees and a wide array of weapons that you can like upgrade and change and craft, and then like each weapon has like different stats and different arrows and different kind of elemental effects, and so there's a lot going into those Forbidden West games to give them some depth as well as an amazing story. I've liked both of the narratives, and I'm not a story guy in games. I don't
I'm
know how much of this is just gonna be a side story within that world. I don't expect this to move any mountains as far
they
as
already
narrative wise.
confirmed like you're playing as a character class that's in the game. I can't remember. I don't know the classes, but they confirmed that you're playing as like an offshoot, like a climber character. I don't know. There's some kind of class that like is just I don't know. I don't know.
There's lots of clans in the games, like
Maybe that's what it was. I don't
Like
remember.
The Karja, and like there's a lot. I'm not good at remembering that stuff because I barely pay attention to story. I'm like, oh, I can kill him. Good.
All right, so
That's all I need to know.
one
But
I forgot. I've said this before. I'm cutting you off. That felt good. Um,
ooh,
one thing I keep like from what I've seen from this, and like I said, we've only seen what they've shown us, which isn't a lot. It reminds me a ton of Vader Immortal in regards to the gameplay. Very linear, like it gives you the freedom to move around, but down very linear corridors. Oh, here's a climbing section. You can climb where you want to go, but it's still super linear. I think this is a larger scale of that. But still, you know, climb those cliffs. You can climb anywhere on those cliffs. You can walk on maybe it gives you like a choice of two paths, but both paths eventually converge back to the same point. It just feels like that. Like I said, very linear, but I think it'll be bigger than just like the path that's 2 feet wide. Oops, next game, wrong one. So yeah, I said this is an 8. Did you give a number for this thing?
no, I didn't. I just wanted to address the combat. This is what
Sure.
you and I don't think you and I had this conversation off the air. I don't. I really don't like when we first saw the combat. I was like, ooh, that looks I don't know. That doesn't look like someone's like running around like actually like free having free combat, And like it's this plays back into the whole Souls thing as again like a lot of the combat in the Forbidden West games are is almost a Souls type of combat, and the fact that there's a lot of like kind of like learning move sets and knowing when to dodge and when to counterattack and when to do certain moves and what have you, right? That's a tough one to translate to VR, especially if you're not willing to, make some people sick. Um, bunch of baby. But anyways, this like it sounds like what Ryan's saying from what we've heard is like you literally come up onto an arena kind of where you're going to be fighting the robots or whatever, and and then you kind of like it basically like moves you around the arena like in some kind of a scripted sequence.
Yeah.
I What I'd said to Ryan was the only way I can see them salvaging any type of kind of, I guess, deeper gameplay, so that you don't feel like you're just in like an arcade ride, would be if you've got like quite the assortment of weapons like in the core game, and you really do have to choose like what to use and when, and like this is like a core part of the main franchise has been when you come up to robots, you like bring them up into your scanning device, and you kind of like see which parts are on the robot, and you can decide like what you're looking for crafting or what you need to take out. Like you can remove pieces of their weaponry, and sometimes they're kill shots, and there's there's a strategy to how you, like, decide to take on those enemies. You can just start to tear them apart instead of just taking down their health bar.
Mhm.
And if they really push that, they could try to salvage some of the depth to the combat, but that on rails thing, I'm telling you right now, I think it's going to be narrative heavy. It's going to be super gorgeous. It's going to have like little moments where you're like, oh, I take thing and put thing together and I craft, wee, and then you're going to have your on rails combat stuff, and then you're going to have some climbing sections. I think it's going to be more like Blood and Truth than necessarily people want it to be. I think it's going to be quite hand-holdy, but incredibly high production value. I hope I'm
Yeah,
wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a lot
I get it.
more freedom in that world. I think it's going to be a focus on in the fact that it's a series that was so narrative heavy, like almost movie quality. I think they're going to double down on that side. And
Sure.
I'll give it an 8 still because I still think it's going to be mind-blowing, visually, and, like, I think Sony's probably hoping it's gonna be said in the same breath as Half-Life Alyx,
I mean, that makes sense, I
and
guess.
I hate to say it, but sorry, guys, like, Half-Life Alyx is just it's a fairly linear game too. It's not quite as hand-holdy as this looks like it's gonna be, but there's, like, 4 guns, and you can do some upgrades to those guns, and you walk slowly around while you pick up stuff, and you go through this beautiful world and take in the narrative, and everyone finds that mind-blowing. So, hey, I'll take another helping of that.
Sure.
We need VR needs something else that's not, like, 3 years old.
Yes, it does. I totally agree with that 100%. And that brings us to our next game, Hubris. Chris, you talked to me about well, yeah, you talked to me about Hubris.
Well, because you can't now?
I'm gonna kind of give my thoughts about Hubris as it
So
was.
Ryan's for those of you who, didn't join us in the very beginning, Ryan's playing Hubris right now on PC to review it, and so he's kind of handcuffed a little bit about what he can say. But I have signed no such thing.
Whoa,
Um,
whoa, whoa, whoa. We're a corporation now, Chris.
damn it! Anyways, uh, Hubris looks gorgeous, and, it looks beautiful. Is that trailer playing right now?
Oh yeah,
Okay, perfect.
and I can
And
attest the game looks exactly like that footage. There's no.
right,
It is a sexy ass game
so
looking game.
from that standpoint, I'm super hyped for that to come to PSVR 2 because as I've said before, the PSVR 2 desperately needs to shut down anyone on the whole Quest side of things where it's like, "Yeah, but it has a cable and I have to buy a PlayStation." Wah. No. What Sony needs to have is games where it's like, "You'll never run that on the Quest. Don't even ask." No.
This is supposed
Not
to come to the
this is
Quest.
fuck that. Yeah, okay.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, you know what? And it's gonna look like that Aeonia,
Oh yeah, totally. No, no,
yeah,
it'll look like hot trash
you
compared
know,
to what we're seeing
or
here.
the Wizards and stuff where you just, like, strip all the lighting and all the textures, and you're, like, literally looks like you're, like, walking through something running on the FX chip on the Super Nintendo. That's pretty harsh, I shouldn't say that, but, anybody who grew up in that era is gonna get that reference. Hubris looks amazing, and it'll be a really nice showpiece on the PSVR 2. We'll just have to wait till, next week, is it, for your review?
December 8th is also the when this thing drops
To
here.
find out if
So
the gameplay backs it up. I mean, the demo's been out there, so we know it's not hot garbage. It's just but the other thing is, like, who knows when this is coming on PSVR 2? Like, we don't have a release date, right?
no, we have no idea.
So
Their plan is I mean next year. I mean with the PC build being done, I can't imagine there'd be too much in the way of porting to PSVR 2. So I would expect it probably not at launch, but I would expect it. I would imagine before the end of the year next year.
yeah, and I agree with what Rob. Hubris is a horrible name for a game. It's like Hubris is like someone who's, like, kinda pompous and, like, kinda full of shit.
Yeah,
That's not a good title for a game.
it's funny. So I can't say too much. Obviously, I will talk about my experience in the demo. I absolutely this thing blew me away when I played it. Like it was a visually stunning. I remember seeing the trailer for this thing when they first announced it for PSVR one. This was announced for PSVR one, and I was like, okay. And then they threw Quest in there. I was like, what are we talking about? So I'm pretty sure a PSVR one release is not going to happen. Call that a hunch. But that being said, having played that demo, which isn't available, unfortunately. I looked just to see if you could play it. It's gorgeous. They definitely are going for a very big world. I get the impression they very much have like a franchise in mind for this thing. I'm thinking I will say I think I'm about 5 or 6 hours deep into the campaign right now, with no sign of an ending just yet. Not to say that couldn't happen in the next hour. Who knows? So they're definitely going for, like, it's not just like a 3 hour experience. Um, yeah, man. I mean, as far as my hype level for this thing goes, I have to hold off until next week's review. But you can find my live play of the demo, and you can see how excited I was for this thing. So there's that, if you want to read into that a bit. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I
Next.
well, I see someone commenting in chat about it's Wolf Raza. They're talking about that PSVR needs to sell a lot more headsets before they get the exclusives. I mean that has been the that has been VR's problem. Period. Um, and the truth of the matter is that almost every exclusive that the PSVR one had, and they're I would say they're still the exclusive king, even above PC. Sony bought and paid for. I mean, Sony
Mm.
pays for those exclusives. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because that's not really a profit model. Like you can't. It's not a business model to just have to buy yourself exclusives. I think Sony's going to do that this time again too. So, um, I agree that right now devs are looking at the Quest and the PSVR 2, and they're the Quest still has to be in the conversation. It absolutely has to be. But the truth of it is that a lot of these triple A games that people want, the Quest is not an option. So it's not even in the conversation. It just can't run it. And
Oh, the
so
end of the end of this trailer, it literally says Quest on there. I laughed.
yeah.
I just noticed it.
And I mean, and again, like it's like of course they are. Of course they're saying that because it's the only way these developers get their money. But I mean, we've talked to developers. A lot of them are not. They don't even want to make Quest games. Like it's not their vision. It's not where they what they saw their game being. It just happens to be where they can make the money on it. And that's not going to change overnight. But I'm really hoping, and I've said this many times, that the PSVR 2, when combined with the PC, the fact that they are on the same playing field, at least much closer than they've ever been, it gives developers a bigger numbers base, like looking at them together. And the fact that the PSVR 2 is sharing the architecture of PC makes it much easier. And then the fact that the PSVR 2 has, the technology is much more in line with where PC VR is at as well. It just makes it a thing that they can probably group those two together. So I think you're going to have you're in ending up in a situation where I think you're going to see console and PC VR and standalone VR.
Yeah.
That's gonna and I think that's really what it comes down to, not just PSVR too. Anyway,
Anyways,
that's
all right.
that's my 2 cents.
All right. Next up is Hyperstacks, and I hate the trailer for this game because I actually thought this game was like a third-person platformer, like in the vein of Astrobot, but it's actually a first-person platformer in the vein of Astrobot if it was first person, I guess. Um, it looks friendly. It looks kind of like even like a little bit like Super Meat Boy-ish in regards to just like how much stuff you have to like dodge and get around. Like there is like a huge challenge factor to this thing. So I mean, I guess Super Meat Boy in VR might be something like something I guess that may attract people. It's got combat and everything else in here too. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't. You can play it. I think there's a demo out there now. I don't. Like I said, up until I actually watched this trailer a few times, I realized it was actually first person. I was like, oh damn! I thought so. I was kind of thrown off. I don't know how this thing plays. I don't even know how I feel about it. I hated Super Meat Boy because it was just insanely not fun to die over and over and over in levels that are designed to just kill you over and over and over. So not exactly my jam. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting. It definitely looks unique for what it's trying to do. I just don't know how much I care about that. Like I'm like a I don't know, like a
I don't give a fuck.
five and a half, something like that. Like it may offer something cool, but I
Nope.
don't know. I mean, it looks as it's trying to do.
Next
It looks like
game.
it's trying to do a lot, and I don't know if that's gonna land.
It
So
looks like something that should be over on SideQuest.
I'm very much. I know it's out. I know you can play this thing now because I was offered codes ages ago, but I just didn't
I probably
care.
deleted that email.
That sounds about right. All right. So your hype level 0 out of 10 is a thumbs up with a poop sound or farting sound.
Thumbs down,
Thumbs
actually.
thumbs down with a farting sound. That's your score out of 10.
I don't care. I
All
don't
right.
care.
Sounds
That's
good.
so not.
Next up, Jurassic World Aftermath, the complete Ultra Edition. I don't know what this is. This is both chapters in one
It's just both
game.
chapters. I
Yeah,
don't e and it's gotten the art it's got the kinda art style that, like, I don't even think that's gonna look better. I mean, it just is
yeah.
what it is.
It'll look high in a higher res headset. It'll look better. I guess foveated rendering might or just you won't have that. You won't see the foveated rendering as much if it was even there in the Quest version. Mm. I mean, you've downplayed this thing so hard to me. I've never played it, and you've just shit on this thing so hard that my hype level just isn't there. And that being said, I just told you I like stealth. So if they do the stealth right, if you can hide, then I'm kind of down to hide from raptors.
Okay,
Um,
if you and I will say that for you and people like you,
the
if
hell's
you
that mean?
I'm just saying, if there's just people that have that like I'm not a big stealth guy. I don't have the patience for it. My wife laughs at me because she watches me play like Assassin's Creed and the Horizon games, and I'm like sitting in the brush, and there's a guy like, "Oh, I think someone's over there." Like, yeah, he was, motherfucker. And I'm into it. I just can't do it. I don't have. This is why I don't even like that. This is why the Hitman games were not for me because I was like, I wanted to play them like first
Side note,
person
did you
shooter.
play that what's it called? The End Dreams, the canoe, not canoe, the
Yeah,
kayaking.
man, Phantom Covert Ops
Did you play that run and gun?
as much as you could.
Oh, you're a fucking psychopath.
But, like, I played it as much as I played that like I do most stealth games. I'm like, "'Kay," "'Kay, we're starting out stealthy, best intentions." And it's like, "'Kay, yeah, oh, got that guy. Oh, damn it, hit that alarm. Oh, well." Um, I liked Phantom Covert Ops, man.
I love that game. I love that
PlayStation
game.
got robbed on that. It's the closest we're gonna get to, like, a Tom Clancy-ish game, I think, on PSVR, especially since they
And it would
canceled it.
it would so would have worked for PSVR 1 because you're always front facing. Like you don't like you're in that kayak. You never have to like turn 360 degrees. Immersion says you're facing
Oh,
front
yeah,
all the
it was
time,
another great
right?
VR game to put friends in because the kayaking was, like, fun, it was on point, and it's like that mixed with, like, a Tom Clancy big time Tom Clancy vibe and guns, and even the guns were very easy to reload, like,
Yeah.
so for those of you who haven't connected the dots, um
We're just talking about Phantom Covert Ops
well,
now.
Phantom Covert Ops was a Quest exclusive and well, on PC, and then PlayStation basically got fracked, same developer. And
Yeah.
you can see some of the ease of use of, like, gun mechanics, the way they did the loading and stuff to make it so it wasn't quite as cumbersome, especially since you're stuck in a raft. You can see some of that kind of came over to frack, but I'm really hoping that Phantom Covert Ops gets a PSVR 2 release because the PC version was freaking gorgeous.
Is
Not
it
a not a
was it only Oculus or was it Steam as well? It was only
no, I'm
Oculus,
pretty
right?
sure it was
Yeah,
anyway. I digress, but that was a sweet game.
I agree.
What were we Oh, yeah, Jurassic Park,
Jurassic
that's what it
Park.
was. You know what? Good. Like I was gonna say, if you're like Ryan and you really enjoy the stealthing where that's all there is. So, like, I think of some of those, kind of horror games in the flat world, like, it's just escaping me right now, Outlast, where
Sure.
pretty much all you do is hide, and if you get caught, you run for your life or that's it. That is the game. We've seen some horror games do that on VR.
Alien Isolation, I guess, would be. I mean, it's not the like VR.
Nah, at least Alien Isolation of you can kind of fight back. You just can never kill the thing. But I would say that, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't played tons of that game. That and I
It's
didn't like being stalked. But anyways, you're pretty much sneaking away from raptors the whole game, and it's got like a real comic book art style, like that. You all know what it looks like Tarzan
cell
kind of
shaded.
looks
It's
like
a cell
that.
shaded.
Thank you.
There you go.
And it's heavily cell shaded, and because it's got a lot of, like, shadows, and cell shaded and, like, darkness and shadows to me always looks a little it's just got that cell shaded the way it does darkness where it's just kinda like to
It's
blackness.
black. Yeah, it's just black. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's okay, it's fine, you know what, I think it's safe to say I can speak for just about everybody, though, that even if you like stealth games, if you love the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, we all want Jurassic Park the game, and this is not Jurassic Park the game. This is a VR stealth simulator. No, simulator. Ugh, you can't even say that. It just
You can
is.
just say game, stealth
It's
game.
a
That's
game.
so. Yeah, what's your hype level? I mean, you've ruined this thing for me. So I'm like, honestly, I'm like a. I'll say a 6, I guess, because I still think you could be wrong.
Yeah,
And yeah, you're fine with that. I mean, yeah, your review said as much. I think if I recall correctly.
I didn't even play
Uh,
the second half of it, but I heard it was kind of more.
All right, are we moving on?
Yes.
Moving on. Next up is Kayak VR Mirage. I still hate that name. I hate
Yeah,
saying
I
it every
feel like
time.
I think someone might be ahead of us on there. Yeah, they are. They are. Oh, the trailer must have started.
Because I have to manually loop it back myself, so I have to like be on top of it. Otherwise,
One job.
which is fine, except when they're like 20-second trailers, that gets tough.
Speaking of
Anyways,
speaking of PC games that like looked stunning.
look, I mean, man, I mean, you can find my review on the other channel, so but please come back to this channel. But I this thing blew me away, man. I got to play the demo way ages ago, just the one stage, and I couldn't believe I was looking at what essentially amounts to realistic visuals in VR. This is as close to real as I've ever seen VR. I can tell you after playing Hubris has some amazing realistic environments. The first stage, that demo, looks amazing. Kayak VR Mirage looks 10 times better. The amount, like, what they put into the detail and like damn near everything is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. If this was just like sit in the ocean and stare, I'd still give this thing like a 10. But the fact there's actually kayak gameplay behind it, and they're trying to add a bunch of stuff. One of the things they are looking to add sooner than later is actually co-op, so you can actually race your friends at the same time. Right now, you only race ghosts, so like
Yeah, they were talking about that at launch even.
yeah, but it was like the end of the roadmap. Like they had a bunch of stuff planned in that roadmap, and that was one of the last things they had planned. That being said, um, man, like if you're going from PSVR 1 to PSVR 2 and you play this, you're gonna be like, God damn, like this is it. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. And honestly, I don't know how it could get any better. I think I gave it like a 9.5. I was just so amazed by the game. The kayaking also felt really good too. You can't do things like flip yourself over. At least I don't think you could when I played. So I'm not like a big kayaking guy, so I didn't really give a shit about that. Like the racing felt nice. I actually had the paddles. Like you actually get the peripheral to join your controllers together.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you
yeah.
set your offsets off and played like that. It felt amazing. It was like one of the most immersive experiences. And now that I think about it, probably the last wow moment I've had in VR was Kayak Mirage, Kayak VR Mirage. Man, I hate that name. Um, yeah, dude, the hype level for this thing is like a 10 for people. I just can't wait for more people to play this thing and be like, oh my god, I can't believe like VR can do this, because I didn't believe VR could do this either, and it totally can. It's friggin' amazing.
Well, I think it does fall into the category though of the conversation that I think might need to be an episode uh about visuals. Like
Oh, it's coming.
if it wasn't
Whenever
good
we stop talking about PlayStation VR games.
if it wasn't a good looking game, there's not a ton of game there. Like,
No,
I mean, it's kind of the kayak equivalent to what the climb,
sure,
right?
yeah,
But
even less so. There's only 4 stages. There
I was
might
gonna
be a
say, but even less so. Like, I mean, it's more like the first climb. Like, there's not a ton of there depth wise. I mean, it really is a game about kayaking, and and you turn on all the simulation, it starts to feel a lot like kayaking, sometimes to its detriment. Like it's like I want to go faster, and I'm working so hard for this.
you can go
Um,
pretty fast.
but did you turn on all the sim shit? Because it
Dude, I maxed that thing out, man, and it's just it was crazy. Like I mean,
but
my
it is
computer was
gorgeous.
it's
It is gorgeous. It is, it's a game that was can put a lot of assets out there because you're kind of stuck here. Though it's almost a hyper real looking game though. Like it's almost doesn't look like realistic graphics. Like it definitely looks like more like realistic graphics than not. But like the water effects are almost hyper real. Like everything's like crazy shiny and very very vibrant. Like it really pops. Like it does look really nice in a headset. I'll give you that. Yeah,
looks amazing.
it'll be a slick game if they get the eye tracking in there too, because on the PC, like I've got the horsepower, I cranked up the super sampling and really, really jacked up the the um the resolution on that. And it looked it was a good looking game. Putting your head in the water too. I was like, oh my god, you can do it. But it's a kayaking game. So I'm not giving it a 10. Not giving it a 10.
9.5. You're right. 9.5.
8.
I get it. I get it. Like, I'm telling you, man.
It's a show
This
off
thing,
game.
it was so fun. If they had like you racing like in tandem, that'll be pretty damn fun too. And you can actually explore all the areas too. There's actually little secrets you can find, little like events you can trigger. So there is like some stuff to it, just free roaming, which I thought was pretty cool.
I feel like it's
Um,
one of those games that by the time it gets over to PSVR 2, it'll probably have some more content too. I think it'll be a lot more ready for prime time once it hits PSVR 2. So that'll, especially if they could get the co-op, that would be really
Yeah, I'll
nice.
have to look once I'm done this. I'm gonna look into it and see what's happened to the game since it launched because it launched a few months ago now.
Like
So,
Rob said, putting on some tunes and going out for just a little kayak with a buddy would be pretty sweet. Um, they got to team up with like a fishing game or something. And you do
dude, I was gonna say, imagine catch and release with this kind of like visual.
Oh, absolutely,
Ooh,
absolutely. I just wanted to touch back something in chat said that Wolveraza was saying that, like, and I don't know if chat's been getting heated or if it's just coming off of us, is there's definitely no hate on the Quest here. I think that, what you might be picking up on from Ryan and I is just the fact that we
complete and
start
total apathy.
we started on the PSVR for years and then kinda got to PC, and we're so excited about the next evolution of VR, and like, yeah, no hate though. The Quest is like the whole reason that the VR industry is even moving forward and that it's gotten to where it is. I often say that I think that, like, you know, PC lit the fuse, PlayStation did some heavy lifting, Quest picked up that baton and kind of ran with it as far as the masses was concerned. I think for a lot of people like Ryan and I, and especially those in chat, because we know we skew heavy into the PSVR one crowd that we grew up with. For a lot of us, it's just getting, we didn't want to go backwards, and the
Yeah.
Quest in a lot of ways is backwards visually. It feels like old games. It's frustrating to have to and it's frustrating to see great games like Medal of Honor, and, and Resident Evil 4 and what have you be stuck on the Quest, when and even the Climb too and stuff like that, when it's like, no, we want we want VR to go forward. And
Mhm.
so it's not so much hate as it is just, it's like, obviously respect where respect is due, but, like, I do feel like, there's a place for the Quest 2 still because that's the standalone market. But for me, like, a wire just, I've said this before, Sony was never gonna go wireless because they can't count on people to have the proper home setups for routers, and this is plug and play VR, which is one of the reasons some people are so excited 'cause they don't wanna dick around with a PC.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'm gonna agree with Chris 100%. I mean, the Quest 2 still to this day blows me away with what it can do. I mean, the stuff I've played in there, Moss, Red Matter 2, even the fact they ported Medal of Honor, even though it was a substantial downgrade, the fact they still got that game on the Quest 2, I couldn't believe that happened. Even Saints and Sinners, you said, it's pushing the Quest to its limits, and it has some jank to it. The fact the first one's on there, like there is some amazing experiences on the Quest that are like there are tons of reasons to buy a Quest. It's just we've been in VR for 6 years now, and like I said, we want to see this thing grow. It's why we both bought PC VR. And I love my Quest for what it is, but I hate my Quest for what it isn't. If that makes enough sense. So, well, I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to anything coming on the Quest. Um, I'm not against it. I'm not anti-Quest. It's just I'm so hyped to see what's coming to PSVR 2 because it's going to bring VR to the next level. It's going to be the next level of visuals and budget for gameplay. And there's just limitations on the Quest that just prevent it from being that next thing. And so yeah, I mean, I love my Quest for what it can do, but I don't like it for what it can't.
I'm also very excited for, like Triangulator was saying here, we said this kind of before, is I'm also excited because I see PSVR 2 hand in hand with PC, kind of like prancing into the sunset. Like I see them kind of being, developers can finally see a revenue stream for some of the visions they wanted to do. Um,
Oh
and
man.
not just stuck on the smaller grouping of PC. Because right now, PC VR is pretty much sim. That's where sim people go. I don't see that changing. It just won't because of the open source nature of PC and all the peripherals and stuff. It's going to be the place to sim race and sim fly. But yeah. Anyways, it's at the end of the day, this is just all good news. It's and maybe it was Space Dan is in there that said that he loved the thumbsticks and 360 tracking, like on the Quest. Like that was
Oh
mind
yeah.
blowing. And yeah, and going from a PlayStation to that, I was like, oh my god. And that's
Yeah.
probably why it's so exciting for all of us is that the PSVR 2 is kind of like it's 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 all those things that we loved on the Quest without the compromises.
Mhm.
For a lot of people, especially if they didn't have access to PC, and with PC spinning its wheels right now, PSVR 2 is looking really, really exciting. Especially with knowing that Sony's going to dump some coin into it. But
All right, shut up, Chris. Next game is the Light Brigade. I'm not really hyped for this thing. It looks kind of all right, I guess, but it did looks. I mean, it's coming to Quest first, I believe. It's also coming to PSVR 1 as well, and it'll be a free upgrade to PSVR 2 if you decide to do that. But it looks like kind of like a generic looking cartoonish shooter. Like, it's got some magic elements. But it looks boring to me. I don't know. It's the best way to describe it. It just looks boring to me. Like, my hype level for this thing is like a 4. it's like it's like it can do VR. And it's like trying to do VR. And
I'm more excited about it than you are, I think, just because it ticks a lot of boxes for my game. Like from my understanding, it's a roguelite. I don't know
Ooh,
if
three.
I don't know if it's procedurally generated. The art style's not like doing a lot for me, but I have been playing quite a few. I guess like indie. Oh, I hate the name boomer shooter, but everybody knows what they are if I mention them, like retro shooters, on my PC, and and it seems I don't know somehow it's I was been playing this game called oh my god, I can't remember what it's called now over on PC, but it's giving me vibes of that. Um oh my god, it's gonna bug me now what the name of the game is, so I'm gonna try to move on here. But it's giving me those vibes in this game, and I feel like I don't know, it looks kind of cool. Like I feel if the game loop's good, I could lose a lot of time in this. I love a good roguelite, and this looks like it might have some depth to it. I don't know, 7. I still think it looks cool. I got this feeling I might actually be playing a lot of that at launch.
Weird. I don't have that feeling at all. So I'm glad you're offering to review that because. Anyways, so yeah, 4-3. Oh, I said 4. You said what? You said
Cultic.
7.
Cultic.
Jesus.
That's the name of the game. For those of you who like your, retro shooters, if you've got a PC, Cultic is like, it's running on the Duke Nukem engine, it's freaking awesome. Anyways, next.
Anyways, next you can talk about this one because it's all you, baby, and that game is Lonn. Lonn.
Yeah, I'm playing this right now, guys. Man, I don't wanna set expectations too high, I have to be very careful the way I explain it. This is made by 3 guys, it's a PC only game. It sounds like it's coming to PSVR 2. That's awesome. That's good news. That is good news because especially by the time it gets to PSVR 2, this game could be killer. With the way that they're patching and listening to people, it's very good looking game. You can tell they cut some corners, but it's a very, very, very good looking game. It's one of those games where it would never run on the Quest. Like you can just see that right off the hop. And it is like these guys took Half-Life Alex and they were like, okay, so how can we make it's LONN, Rob? um, it looks like these guys sat down and said, okay, so we're a 3-man team. We want to make another game like Alex. How can we improve on Alex? And even though that's a ballsy statement, it feels like the shortcomings of Alex they definitely tried to address. Like you have more freedom of movement. You run faster. There's a jump button. There's a it's just everything about it is just like it's more. It feels more like playing App Lab. Not App Lab. Jesus Christ. Bone Lab. Feels
That's a
like
big
playing Bone
difference.
Lab. Like, even the way that, like, when you jump and you have your body kind of like it kind of like, um, softens the blow almost like a suspension system under your body. Like, they've definitely tried to make it feel like you're in a real, body, which it doesn't feel quite as stiff as a lot of VR games, so the movement system is definitely, improved off of Alex, at least they're trying to get there. Um, it has melee combat, even though it's pretty janky, but it does have it. It needs some work, but it does have it. You can swing a crowbar and hit an enemy, which is still mind blowing to me that Alex didn't do that.
Right?
So I'm like, what? Uh, they've got that, but it's very similar. It's like it's kind of a linear sci-fi storyline. It's a full-length game. I haven't gotten there how far that is, but there's a leveling system with guns. You can go to a vendor and buy and upgrade stuff. You collect like a currency, which you throw into your backpack. You've got 2 holsters on your side, one on your back. You can carry a sword. It's like a laser sword. You can deflect shots. You got gravity guns or gravity gloves rather. You can one of the differences you can use them as weapons. So you can actually like magnetically pull them in and blast them at creatures. Even some of the enemies, like these like kind of spider walker things, and you jam them with your knives and stuff. Very, very Alexy vibes, in all the best ways possible. It definitely does not feel like it's got Valve's money behind it. But
What's your hype
man,
level?
it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm working on a review right now, guys, because I think it deserves hype level for PSVR 2 would probably be an 8 because I feel like if they can get it there, if they can get it where it needs to be polish wise, people are gonna be pretty excited about this game. Like it's not gonna win any game awards, but it's definitely like trying to be another Alex.
I'm riding your coattails. 8. You're the reason why I'm hyped for this thing, just because you've been talking about it for the last like 2 weeks nonstop. So 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's not there yet, right? It's definitely got some jank and you can feel some of the budget constraints, but I'm feeling like they're really listening. And if they've got an influx of money from people buying it, yeah, it's what people want to see on PSVR 2. Um, AI is the biggest problem. It's got some AI issues, but
All right.
again, time could be good for that game.
Next, lo-fi.
Which is
I'm gonna
funny
talk
that
about.
that comes right after Lonn.
It is pretty funny actually. Lo-fi, man. I mean, the scope and scale of this thing's supposed to be pretty massive. It's open world, cyberpunk, thing. This has been in development for. I mean, I would love to know when we first heard about lo-fi. I swear to God, it was 6 years ago. Like this thing has been in development forever. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, like it's been forever. It's I wouldn't say it's not a lone developer, but I think he is largely a one man developer who maybe just brings people other. I'm not sure. Blair went out. Blair, right? I'm mixing things up.
Blair,
Yeah.
and he's been in the industry. Like I think he's worked on Grand Theft Auto and stuff. Like
Yeah, I
he's
think
been
he's a
around.
Halo guy too. I think he's been around forever. The game looks slick as hell. He is
Oh,
going for
it
tons of
looks
style. Like it looks beautiful. Once again, as long as there's a solid campaign in this thing, I'm down. I'm down to play this thing. It's coming to PS5 flat, as well as in VR. So whether that comes to, I would assume that's the same day. But if it comes to flat first, maybe even I don't know. It was announced for 2023. Like I said, as long as this thing has like an awesome campaign, even a GTA style campaign, I'm so down to be in what looks like Blade Runner in VR and like a full scale, awesome looking. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this. I just hope he delivers on it.
So do I. I mean, you're sitting on the early access beta and
I
haven't
am.
played it.
Yep.
From what I haven't played it because I kind of want to just wait on it because it looks so good. I don't want to play it in an unfinished state. I'm a big sci-fi nerd. This looks like I don't even want to say like cyberpunk because it's almost overused now.
Mhm.
It looks like Blade Runner
Yeah.
in all the best spot. It looks amazing. And so far from what I've heard is like visually it's definitely there. Mechanically it's definitely getting there too, but it is kind of an open world thing and then that's where it kind of like it's kind of like, with a small team trying to fill that world. Like you can take on like little side missions and investigations and such, but like as far as like bringing everything together in a cohesive like campaign, I don't think it's there yet. But man, let's just say by the time it releases for PSVR 2, when it finally releases, I'm gonna guess 2024. It's gonna be mind blowing, I think. So my hype level on this is pretty damn high. I almost want to say a 9.
Sweet. Moving on.
What about you?
What-
Did you give it a number?
I think I said 8 or 8.5, somewhere in that ballpark. I guess I'm pretty pumped for this, but I still have reservations, so that's why it's not like a Kayak VR 9.5. Lol. We're going through these games so slow. Next up is Madison. This thing just came out.
Medicine?
Madison.
Oh,
Madison.
okay.
The horror game there supposed to come out for PSVR 1, but they scrapped that. Apparently it's like the scariest game ever friggin' made, and it's supposed to be just like horror central, and like it's like scientifically the scariest game ever made. I don't know what this all means. Suffice to say, it's got a lot of hype, and horror and VR are just made to be together. The horror, I just telling Chris a couple days ago, like horror games don't really do it for me. Like even flat games, it's not there. Horror games in VR, those can get me. Those can definitely, when you're checking over your shoulder and actually looking over your shoulder, and jump scares they just hit home a lot harder in VR. And if this thing delivers what it's supposed to, then goddamn, this is going to be like nightmare fuel for for PSVR 2 owners. I'm pumped. I love horror. 9. This thing looks like it's gonna give me nightmares?
Um, I takes a lot to get me scared. In movies and VR. Period. Um, sometimes like ghost things can do it. Sometimes like demonic type stuff can get to me. The thing that I think that VR does so well, um, when it comes to horror, I mean, I think it's very self-explanatory why VR and hand in hand. But one of the things that I think that really gets to me is darkness. Darkness in VR can feel almost overbearing at times, like to the point where like I have to get out of the head.
Mhm,
Like, it's
mhm.
too much. It like, you're it's that isolation that, like, no matter how immersed you are into your flat game, you cannot get that same level of immersion. Like, yeah, people are like, "Oh, you can't turn away if something jumps in your face." Like, those are all good points too, and just the immersiveness of just the game world and being in there and holding things, but it's the darkness. It's all enveloping, and I remember I was playing, Cosmodread, and I loved Cosmodread, and I had been playing it for a couple hours, and I didn't wanna get out. I was really digging it, and I was like, "I need to get out of this," because even, like, the sound in Cosmodread was pretty top notch. Funny enough, shout out to Callisto Protocol coming out tonight. A lot of the visuals in Callisto remind me of some of the stuff in Cosmodread, and, at a certain point, I was like, I need some light. I need daylight." Because the sound felt heavy. You could feel the ship just humming, and I could hear the creaking and the slurping of things in the background, and then just that sheer darkness. I was like, "Oh my god." Like, it didn't so much scare me as that I was like, I am starting to get depressed. Like, the dread was starting to weigh on me. Um, like, Resident Evil 7 did not freak me out or get to me in the least, but you definitely I when I think back to that, I have memories of being in the house. Not watching it on a screen, being in
Yeah,
the house.
totally.
Hmm.
Alright, you hype level for that one? Did you give a number?
No, I just because I also don't really like
I
horror
don't want a
games.
speech, I don't want a speech.
I'm not giving you a speech. I just don't really like horror games where you kinda just, like, walk around and explore stuff and be creeped out. Like, I like games that give me a little bit more to do,
Right.
and so I need to know more about it.
Alright, cool, fine. Another non-answer from Chris, let's keep him going. Next up is Medieval Dynasty. I don't know a lot about this one. I know you, like, start off as, like, a peasant, and you can, like, build up to, like, being a king, so I'm not sure how that works exactly.
This
I
sounds
mean, it
familiar.
sounds like it's lofty, it sounds like they're definitely going for pretty huge scope. Um I don't know if they can deliver that. It just sounds like too big of a game as from a team I'm not familiar with. Renner Cube, I'm not sure who they are. That being said, if they can deliver on the goods, it should be pretty awesome. It just sounds like more than a small team can chew, but we've seen smaller teams deliver amazing games. So, I mean, yeah, unless it's like a full on like not. I mean, the game shows off like it's VR. It's first person gameplay, so I don't know how it's gonna work to go from a peasant to a king and how that's gonna translate to gameplay. I can't process that, and I don't know if it sounds interesting or boring AF. So I'm like a 5. I need to
Well,
see what the hell this thing delivers, like how it delivers its game.
so it's out in flat already,
Oh, okay,
and
there you go.
and the general consensus of that is that it's definitely much more about like progressing and living in that world than it is like being like a gladiator. you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like it's not it has combat, but that's not the game. Um, it sounds like it's okay. The being announced for PSVR 2 to me sounds like it feels like a little bit like kind of like back in the PSVR 1 days where every developer was like, "Yeah, we're coming to PSVR 1, of course we are." We'll see.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
we just don't know enough yet. It'll be interesting to see with eye tracking. I still feel like it's this really exciting wild card where we don't really know yet how easy it's going to be for developers to utilize that and get their flat games to actually run in VR without trying to
Hmm.
optimize the shit out of it. Because it's a game that obviously would be great in VR, like to live in that world, which it looks like it's kind of a semi RPG focus would be really cool in VR. Like
Hmm.
Skyrim, like I mean, of course, like and all the mods that people love that shit, right? This this is no Skyrim, but I see the draw.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it's there yet. Like, I feel like VR is, like, years out.
Mhm. All right, cool. Moving on. Next game is Mixture. I have forgotten what this is, so I have to watch the trailer to get an idea again.
Mixture?
Um, oh, I know what Mixture is. Yeah, Mixture. So Mixture looks like it very much in the style of Moss, where you control this little like butterfly fairy creature, and super into like the almost looks like Dynasty Warriors combat. But you can go, you can. But I think you can jump into like the actual first person mode as well. It kind of looks like a quest game. It doesn't look like a PSVR showcase title by any stretch. Um, but it looks like if Moss was a full on like battler. I don't know. I do like third person games in VR. We don't get enough of them. Stuff like Ven, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Ven, but Astrobot. I can't even think of a third one. I know there's one more I can think of, but it doesn't really matter. I
Lucky's
do
Tale?
think Lucky's Tale, sure. Along Together is another one. Now that I'm
Astrobot?
thinking about it, yeah. Astro was the one I was thinking of. It's just it's getting late. I'm tired. But it's I have to see what this delivers upon. But I love seeing games of this genre in VR because we don't get enough of them. So 7. I really hope it delivers. I do want to see more games like this deliver on the promise of like traditional, classic gaming in VR where it's not always about being a first person.
I agree. Third person plays well, and you and I have said that. They're I think that, like, games like, well, I was gonna say that, Astro and Moss are interesting because they're almost more like the old Resident Evil games where the camera's kind of stuck as you run around. It's kind of like little like level design, and then you kind of move through and the camera switches. So
Mhm.
it's not like an over the shoulder third person, but I like that too. Like, I know that you and I've played a bit of the game that's gonna escape me right now. Owena's Sacrifice, the first name of that. Hellblade?
Yep.
Yeah.
Senua's Sacrifice.
And if anybody played that PSVR one game that like was pretty much a tech demo and never got finished, I was Theseus.
Theseus.
Yeah.
I like
Third
Theseus.
person games work in VR. I don't want developers to use it as a crutch to just give us VR games and just throw us in the game world, but they do look pretty cool when all of a sudden your game world is like you're this little sandbox in front of you. This looks cool. It looks indie.
Yeah.
And so that could be cool. It looks fun. I mean, I don't know. My hype level is probably a 6 or 7. I don't really I just need to see a lot more because right now it looks pretty undercooked.
All right, moving on. I want to get through a few more of these before we shut her down. Neolithic Dawn, which is like a caveman survival game. The footage you're seeing here is like old as F. Um, Caveman survival. Obviously, Song in the Smoke is kind of the biggest basis I have for this kind of thing, as that was very much kind of like prehistoric survival, not quite to the extent this is going for. But this looks rough, so it's hard for me to get hyped. And honestly, survival games for me are a tough sell. Green Hell, for all I enjoyed about it, I ended up like dumbing that game down just to get to the campaign because I just couldn't be bothered to survive anymore. It just wasn't. It just stopped being fun for me. So my hype over this is low. I need to see more. And once again, guys, the footage you're seeing is very old, so don't hate the game for that. But that being said, it doesn't do anything to help the hype. So like a 3 right now. I need to see something more recent than that.
So I love
Blech.
survival games. You know that. Most people watching here probably know that. This looks rough. I've never even seen this trailer. I'm like watching as you're talking. It looks really rough. Um, but it
It is old.
also,
It is very
but it
old.
all,
And I
yeah,
think it's
and the fact that it's so old and everything new still makes me wonder. Like, okay, so where's this game at?
yeah.
But it actually does still get me excited. Like if they can get that together. The only problem is like survival games on PC are like a dime a dozen. I was just watching a video about this. Like, so many developers have jumped on the survival game train, and they're always early access, and they almost never leave early access. They're never able to like really bring it together because they're so ambitious.
Hmm.
That's what worries me when I look at that.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about like the fact that it could get its shit together. I just don't know if we'll ever hear about it again.
Moving on.
7,
Sure.
7, but not based off of that footage.
Sure. Like I said, I need to see plenty more before I even get interested at all. Next up is No Man's Sky. I mean, it's PS4. It's upgrade to PS5 was a substantial boost. I'm sure lots of PS4 guys have played it. For myself, there's too much game here. I find the game overwhelming. So for that reason alone, I'm actually kind of out. Like it's cool. The things you can do in that game are amazing. Getting the full like PC upgrade and having this thing look as good as it can in the headset, I'm sure will be a big deal to a lot of people. But for myself, it's just like 'cause I play this game for I'm sure not enough, but I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too much to do, and it's do whatever you want. So it's kind of just like it just I couldn't. It didn't keep my interest like like I wanted it to really. So you talk. I'm like I don't know. I'm hyped for everyone to have it. Like I'm hyped. Everyone gets to play on
I'm pretty
PS5.
hyped about this. I mean,
Yeah, right. I know.
I mean,
It's
but
just
the
not my jam.
well, Jason and I were just talking about
Oops.
this recently. Jason the Livinator, for those of you who are wondering who I'm talking about, just Jason. Um, and I said, well, I have it on PC, and I played enough of it on PC that I'm like, I'd be interested to see how they optimize this because even now it'll still thrash a high end PC GPU. So hopefully your trailer's leaking over. By the way,
No, I
ho-
already fixed it.
okay,
Don't pay attention. You're 30 seconds behind me.
okay, I'm
Shut
sorry.
up.
Hopefully, they optimize the game heavily with the eye tracking. I'm sure they will. Hello Game seems to be on top of that stuff. Um, I mean, they optimized the game just recently to run on over on the Switch, so that probably also, they know how to work this engine, and I'm pretty hyped about it. But why I bring up Jason was I said to him kind of like, well, why are you so excited about it? Because you've got a PC, and he brought up, he's like, well, like he played a ton of it on his PSVR one, especially once he got a PS5 because it looked a lot sharper there. And he played a lot with people. He's got like hundreds of hours in on it. He doesn't want to start over on PC. And so for him, he's super excited about the PSVR 2 version because he can transfer his save but get the PC experience.
So
Um,
there you go.
right. And I will say to those of you who haven't experienced, when you see No Man's Sky running on a higher end, which I'm sure the PSVR 2 will look like, damn. Like it's just when you don't have to worry about like all the insane pop in and just blur, even though the PS5 helped a lot of that, it didn't. Not when you see what the game can look like. It's going to be an emotional experience for a lot of PSVR 2. It's going to be good. I'm pretty psyched about it.
Hype level. Hype level.
Well, it's a tough one,
Oh,
because
I
I
don't want
play
a speech.
because
I
I've
don't want to.
oh, you know what? You get grouchy when it gets later on in the
I
evening.
just, dude. We have 30 more games
9.
to
It's
go
a
through.
9. It's a 9 mainly just because of it's just a game that needs to be played properly, VR, and I'm excited for
Yay! Yay for everybody.
Dick.
Next up is
Time for Ryan.
Pavlov or
Ryan
Pavlov
to
Shack.
come.
I was told this is Pavlov Shack. It still seems like it's up in the air what version it is, but considering it's supposed to be cross compatible with the Quest and the Quest version have Shack, I have to assume this is Pavlov Shack. So Pavlov Shack is coming to PSVR. I'm excited. People can play with their friends on the Quest. Pavlov is a pretty lauded title. That being said, the Shack version of this worries me. Not worry me. It's like disappointing, I guess, really.
I just assumed the Shack was the side quest version of it. Like the shitty, like not officially released, not for pay, like and it just never left that
Yeah,
early
it's
it
still
just
free. It's still
never
yeah.
left the early access side quest side of the quest. And so like I don't know. I thought we were gonna get Pavlov straight up, like not this Shack bullshit. So
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know.
whatever. My hype rating on that is pretty high. I like contractors a lot more. Um, Pavlov is for those of you who are worried about the kiddies. That's where the kiddies go. It's more Call of Duty. Contractors is more Counter Strike. I enjoy that middle ground. It's not quite as slow as say like Firewall. Love contractors. Um, Alvo and Pavlov will fight it out a little bit more, I think. But yeah, whatever. Pavlov's cool. It that's a game that just needs to be on the play. Pavlov, Contractors, Onward, those all need to be on the PlayStation.
For sure, I agree with cross-platform.
And
Yes. Yeah, like I said, if it's Pavlov, I'm actually pretty pumped for this, like an 8. If it's Pavlov Shack, like a 6.
and what are you basing that off of? Because I don't think there's a
Um,
lot of version. There's not a lot of difference between Shaq, other than it's kind of like I think it was like Pavlov
well,
hack.
I know Pavlov and Pavlov Shack aren't compatible, so I know there's a difference there. So I just wonder, like, if it's a PC, if it's an upgrade from the Quest version, then it's not going to look as good as the PC version. I just don't think. I mean,
Oh yeah, see, I don't see that's. I think yeah, I think that Shaq is probably because it limited some of the more high end stuff. Like like over on PC, they got like tanks. Like they got like the full like they were getting full like World War like II
yeah,
mod.
and if this is compatible with the Quest version, then it won't have tanks unless they're
No,
going to
that's
add
what I'm
tanks to the
saying.
Quest version. Yeah,
But I
so
and
six,
the only reason I could see it being Shaq is if they're worried about the mod side. But
sure. So yeah,
my
once again,
understanding was the tanks was like an official ad. So I always assumed that Shaq was just for it was just like the kneecapped version for performance. But we'll see. I just don't know enough. I don't know enough. It's a good question.
all right, moving on. We get Pistol Whip, which is getting a free upgrade for those. No, yeah, I forget now. I'm mixing my games here. No, Pistol Whip's getting a free upgrade. I'm positive it's getting a free upgrade. Pistol Whip, man. I mean, this was like game of the year for VR guys. What 2 years ago, 2020? It was like game of the year for like a lot of guys. It's fun as hell. It's Beat Saber with guns, and it's intense. I love Pistol Whip. Whenever I go back in, I have a blast. It's one of those games you show off to people in VR just because it's so stylized, but you just still feel like a badass. I'm pumped that it's coming to PSVR 2 for new players, but um, I've also been there and done that. I know they just announced a big roadmap for more stuff coming because they've released so much content for this game since it's originally launched, which is also impressive and awesome on their part. Some of it free, some of it not. I mean, it's Pistol Whip. It's a kick-ass game. It's the equivalent of saying if Superhot was coming to PSVR, which, as far as we know, it's not. Like it's cool. It's great. It's awesome that it's coming. Pads the library in a good way.
I don't know if I'd say it's the equivalent of super hot, at least not in my head. Um, I look at super hot, or sorry, I look at no, I look at Pistol Whip the same way I look at Beat Saber, in the fact that like they're both kind of rhythm music games. I obviously it's shooting, but
Mm-hmm.
I think of those types of games. I put them in the same kind of category as like your Blade and Sorcery type games, where I like playing them. They're fun. They're really polished, showy. Like they're crowd pleasers. They're fun to put friends and family in. They're good for kind of like you play, then you play, then you play. They're just good VR games to have on hand, but they're not something I sit there and be like, "Okay, tonight, Pistol Whipped." What I'm playing all night. It's not my
Yeah.
thing. It's cool. It
No,
makes you
I
like a
get it.
badass, but it's just like it's very arcadey, and
Yep.
so it's like my hype rating is lower because of that. Because I like stuff that I can really dig into. Like if I'm sitting there and I've got Pistol Whipped and I've got Switchback, I'm playing Switchback.
Right. I get it. I get it. I'm on the same page as you, more or less. Next up was a more recently announced game, Prison Simulator VR, which, um, for myself, the second you put simulator in there, I automatically lose interest. Especially if it's like a real life thing. I'm sure it's funny. I'm sure prison's gonna have some like stupid ass things, but I just it's just one of those sandbox mess around games and be stupid in VR, and I just don't care about those. I just don't. And it's just you may as well have just said job simulator. It's I need to see more. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe if there's a story, it just looks like another simulator game. Blah. Thanks, Salvador. We love you.
Salvador, you're a sweetheart. Um, I feel like Prison Simulator really should have tried to have like gotten out on the PSVR one.
This is
I
from the
feel
same guys that gave us Thief Simulator 2 and
okay.
who are also releasing and who also just released Cooking Simulator, which I
I
never played because my God, kill me.
Rob, this one's for you. I just feel like Prison Simulator might have been a better fit on the PSVR 1 because if they're really going for that full Prison Simulator vibe,
Oh my
then
God.
I feel like the move controllers are much better at replicating that those awkward shower scenes with Bubba. Like, I mean, it's like, okay, so now sit on your move controller. Ow, it hurts.
Bend over, insert move controller.
Yeah, just I can see the commercial right now. It's just like actually tear in VR.
Yeah.
Go to
VR's,
the
yeah.
medic. I'm bleeding.
Never been this real. Like I said, I don't have much to
VR's
say.
never been this real.
I don't have much to say about this. Like I said, I have no hype for this thing. I need to see more, but I don't right now. It's just another simulator game. Yawn.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to know a lot more about like how you're gonna. It's just like, what'd you do last night? Spent 8 hours in my prison cell thinking about my life in
Yeah,
VR.
yeah,
It sucked. And I
yeah,
mean, when I think of Prison Boss, and that I do not want to play another game where I'm rolling cigarettes and trying to like hide from the guards while I like hide contraband in my
yeah.
cell. I don't care.
No, all right.
One more, maybe a couple
No,
more.
we'll do. I'm trying to get through a little more here. So the next up is Project Louisiana: The Bounds VR. And the only trailer we have for this. Oh, I think I screwed this up. Is this the right trailer? Oh, it is the right trailer. It's just a very long trailer that shows nothing. Um, we don't know anything. I think it's like a horror thing. I don't know much about this thing at all based upon the trailer. I'm not going to sit here and research these things for an hour when they're not giving us the info to begin with. I don't know anything about this game, so I'm not hyped, nor am I unhyped. I really can't. I can't give this one a score. I'm playing a Chris here, but I don't know what this thing's about or anything. It's just like
I've been good
something.
this time giving scores.
But yeah, I mean, you guys can see the trailer now. It doesn't show anything, so I don't know. I need to see more. I'm waiting to see more, so I have no score.
So let's just leave it at that then.
I think so. You guys need to get to watch the whole trailer. That's how fast we're going through this one.
Like
Nothing to see.
it's
Nothing
like
to see.
Starship Troopers. Click if you'd like to see more.
Next up is Propagation Paradise Hotel, which is like I think it's like a zombie survival thing inside the hotel. I never played the first Propagation thing, so I don't know what it's about. This was announced at the Oculus show, I believe.
Yeah.
It could be good, it could be bad. The trailer doesn't really show a lot at all either. I like horror. I mean, I need to see more. Once again, this is one of those things where it's like you're not really giving me much here, guys. So 6, 5, somewhere there.
Let me just think. Hang on. I just need to see if the game I think it is. I think I played. Wasn't. I think it was free, the first one.
Maybe it very well could have been. Like I said, we don't see much here. It just sounds like you're surviving in a hotel, which is fine. I mean, it sounds perfectly fine. I just need to see more than what is not even gameplay trailer. It's just like a pre-rendered thing. Yeah, it's zombies in a hotel. I'm not remembering this thing wrong.
Okay, so the first one was really freaking weak. Like it was like Brookhaven Experiment.
How
Um,
dare you?
but even like less. Like you just kind of stood there and took on waves. It's a wave shooter. Now I don't know if Propagation 2 is gonna like take that to the next level, but like I said, it was free.
Yeah.
I think it was made by just a couple guys. Hype level's pretty low on this. And if it is a wave shooter, it goes to 1 because I'm done with that shit.
Oh, if it's a wave shooter, then yeah, it's like a 0. I could care less. Oh my god, kill me. Next up is Reggie from Strange Games' Strange Games RC Airplane Challenge. Which once again, it's fine for what it is on PSVR 1, and I think it's going to be a free upgrade to PSVR 2. I don't know that for sure now that I'm just saying that out loud. I mean, it's there. It is what it is, but there's no real hype behind this one. Just for PSVR 2's sake, PSVR 2 is just bigger and better than this game. Like it's what do you say? I mean, I don't even know what trailer's playing right now. Oh, I know what's playing. Oops. There we go.
Space Denizen, just so you know, Prison Simulator. Yeah, conjugal visits. I heard that's DLC. Just so you know. Yeah.
Paid DLC. So
Paid.
yeah. RC Airplane Challenge, Chris?
Yeah, I don't care. Sorry, Reggie.
No, I agree. It's just it's just a cheaper experience, and it's going to live or die in the multiplayer. And I just don't think the multiplayer will be there on the PSVR 2 version either. If it's cross compatible with PSVR 1, maybe there'll be something, but not enough.
I'm just looking to see what he does with the next Honor and Duty steampunk thing. And I
yeah,
feel like
me too.
Maybe just are kind of funding that. So, for a couple bucks, you want to pick up and have some fun. But for the PSVR 2 conversation, my hype level is just that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is like a $5 game. I'm not even sure what it is on the PSVR, but $5 is like the most it can be. Okay, moving on, right? Because we have it here. Requisition VR. Me and you both played this. Not together. No, we didn't play this together. It's got some jank. Let me just resize this trailer here for you guys.
Jank.
I mean, it's early access on PC, so you can obviously forgive it for that. It was fun for what I played, but it's also, once again, it's just 4 guys surviving in different arenas you can combine damn near anything and make weapons out of them, which is kind of fun and funny. Very much like what's the Xbox game? Dead. Damn, come on, Ryan. Where you're like the guys like all your crazy ass like items that you can kill people with.
Do you
Like
want
put
me
a
to tell you? Do you want me to tell you the name of
yes,
the game?
yes. I want you to tell me the name of this thing. You don't know either.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising. It's like it very much apes Dead Rising in that regard, so it's kind of fun. It really is kind of a treat to like you find recipes. So the game actually tells you how to make some of the crazier stuff in the game. Um, what I played was fun, but still had to put a jank factor to it. I mean, if they get their shit together and make everything work, it should be good fun. If you can get some friends together, for sure. I don't know, like 6.
Yeah. Um, it's one of those games where for you PSVR 2 guys, it's like by the time you get it, it might be something. Right now, it's got really good bones. Like it just feels like it's right now it's just kind of like combining weapons and kind of hitting janky like lifeless zombies is kind of like what it is. If they can really polish that and just like work on the enemy AI and just make everything just feel a little bit like more meaty and impactful, it'll be a fun little game. There's definitely some quality there. Like I said, there's some good bones. It looks pretty good, and the whole little quick crafting system in VR works. It feels very Walking Dead Saints and Sinner ish, but without kind of the physics and the weight behind it that that game had. And like the combat just doesn't feel there yet. That's what I'm saying. It's just not there yet, and it doesn't have a lot of content yet. But it could, it could. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I really want to give this a hype rating yet because it's early access. Like it's not there yet.
Yeah, that's kind
And,
of
it,
the
and it's
thing.
funny. It's like it's not just a trailer. I've played it now, so now it's like it really isn't there yet.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna give it a 7 based on future promise.
sure. I'll go with that. And then we'll probably end right here. I think this is a good one to end on. And we'll end on both these games, I guess. And I'm going to combine both these because it's kind of the same conversation. And that would be Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 8 Village.
Oh, you're
Um,
combining them. Jeez.
well, the only reason why, well, because 4 we don't know what 4 is about. The only thing we got for sure from 4 was a trailer that said PSVR content, and then it's been silent. And everyone else is saying it's the full game. It's not the full game. It's the remake, but in VR. But no one actually. Capcom hasn't said shit.
Yeah, I
So
know. It's pretty unofficial.
it's hard to sit there and say I'm really hyped for what I don't know about the game yet. I mean, if it's Resident Evil 4 remake in VR, that's awesome. That's friggin' amazing. That's so cool. If it's you get to play the mercenary missions in
What are you
VR.
back to Prison Simulator?
Yeah, the mercenary missions in VR, and that's it. Then I could care less. I don't want to see that touching games anymore. I'm bored of that kind of stuff. So for me, I need to see more Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 8, I am absolutely looking forward to playing in VR. I cannot wait to play this. I did not play this flat for this reason. I cannot wait to see full VR, not just the Resident Evil 7 stuck to a DualShock BS that was immersion breaking as good as the game was. It's the reason why I can't go. I just the DS4 thing is just weak now. I need hands in VR. I got 2 hands. I have these things and they work in VR. So Resident Evil 8, I am super stoked to play. I know you've played. I know you're a huge RE fan, Chris. I know you played 8 out of VR. I mean, you talk to me.
Big Resident Evil fan as well. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games ever. Period. In flat, played it 2.5 times in VR. I loved it. I feel like if they're gonna do it in VR, which I think they are, I think maybe they're being a little tight-lipped on that, and I'll tell you why. I think that they're going to do the remake in VR. I think that there's with Resident Evil Village coming to PlayStation VR 2. I'm sorry, but like once you played Village, especially I'm gonna imagine in VR, playing the old Resident Evil that came to Quest, like the old Res 4, is gonna feel like antiquated as fuck. And I'm coming from someone who loves the Res 4 game, but the remake, especially if you see the trailers, and it makes sense too because Resident Evil Village is very much like a sequel to Res 4. Like the combat and just the flow and the pacing and everything about Resident Evil 8 Village is very I think that they would be smart to be quiet about Res 4 right now in VR because we all know Village is coming. Village is the push. And Res 4 is not
Mhm.
even out yet, the remake. So it's like it makes all the sense in the world to just go. I think that's probably why they've gone quiet, because someone was probably like, what do we? No, we're not ready to talk about this yet. Like this is not the push, but I
Yeah.
think it's coming. I think it makes all the sense in the world. We know it's running on the RE engine, which is running these VR games. It makes total sense. Like the work has gone into Village, obviously.
Hmm.
And I'm super pumped about that. Even though I've beaten the game already in flat, I couldn't wait. I'm a weak person. I cannot wait to revisit it and play it on hard mode. Um, yeah, I'm really excited about that. I just love it. I see that Space Dennison was saying he just played the Prey Dog mod for Res 3. I wish I'd waited, man. I actually just picked up Nemesis a little while ago on sale and beat it twice in a row. I loved Nemesis as well. It had the remaster has the same kind of pacing as Res 4. I love this series in that sweet little pocket of survival combat. So, I'm pretty psyched about it. Even though I've beaten it, I'm still gonna say it's a 9
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm right there
for
with that. I don't know
Village
if I
for
go for
Village.
Village. I don't know if I go 9. But I mean, somewhere in that ballpark. I wouldn't go any lower than an 8 for sure. Like, I'm pretty stoked to play this thing. I mean, yeah, I'm pumped to see this thing. So I should,
Well,
it's
I
good.
mean,
It's a
like,
9. It's a 9. I just changed my mind. It's a 9.
well, Wolveraz, I mean, not to pick on you there, but, like, back to our original conversation about, no AAA coming to PSVR 2 until they sell a bunch of units. Um, haha. I mean, Resident Evil 8 Village, right? But then at the same time, it's kinda like it's to my point and your point. I'm thinking Sony paid for this one, just like they did on the 7. I'm gonna
Hmm.
guess that they went to Capcom and it's like, "Here's, like, a bunch of money. Let's make this a VR," and I think that they're gonna push Village pretty hard in VR at launch, because it is their one big AAA game. It is
Yeah.
it is the AAA game unless they announce something else. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, No Man's Sky, that's not AAA. And, yeah, we've got, Horizon. They're gonna
Hmm.
push the shit out of that, but it's still very VR-y. But to the AAA crowd, to the flat gamers, it's like, "Fuck you! Village in VR, bitches!"
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty stoked for that. Guys, we still have 20 21 games to go through on the next episode. And that's not assuming there isn't any more announced in between here and next week. So we can't carry this on for this one because that's like a whole other like hour and a half.
How many we got left?
21 games as of right this
Oh,
moment.
that's very doable, though.
We went through 20 games today. So yeah,
Okay, but if I know we got the goals in sight.
the goal's in sight unless something crazy happens in the next week.
We're good. We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be good.
Yeah, so I mean, so I know we're kind of dragging this thing out here a bit, guys, but we did want to have an actual conversation surrounding these games, not just show off trailers and stuff. We will actually like give our thoughts about like what we want to talk about,
And
and I
hear
think
and hear from you too, right? Like, I've been enjoying
100%.
that, yeah.
Oh yeah, chat's been great. Chat's been, I kind of ignored it last episode because I was kind of too busy micromanaging everything. But yeah, I love reading chat. It's awesome to see you guys like just talk to each other while we just ramble on and on and on. So yeah, next week will be the last of our PSVR 2 showcase titles, at least until we have, I guess, 20 more to talk about. But this is like our comprehensive list of everything known, and there's still, I think I have one or two more surprises, assuming there's still surprises by the end of next week.
Well,
So
as we're heading into Christmas, you never know. Um, what a few kind of exciting bombs might drop. I think it's gonna become less and less likely. People don't wanna get lost in just the push for gaming and just
mhm.
Christmas and everything. Um, and just as eyes start to move away a little bit from social media, a little bit at least. But yeah, Matt, no. But yeah, loving the chat, guys. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. I'm a broken record, but I've said it before, with the combination of our channels, we're really fighting the algorithm here because they don't know who we are. Ryan's old VR Grid channel's still up there, and so we're just trying
It's
to
slowly dying. It's
we
slowly
can
dying.
well, we can see the algorithm shifting, but of course, every channel is like, "Please hit the like button," but for us, it's really important because we're trying to, convince YouTube, and also the channel's been dead on my side for a while, and so we can see things changing, and it really is all because of you guys. especially with this being a live thing too. So that's another thing that just like YouTube's like, "Duh, what are they doing?" Um, so who knows? Um, what's going on? No one understands the algorithms, but we really appreciate you guys hitting that like button, sharing the videos, leaving comments, all that jazz. Don't forget to check out our review of The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yep.
That's only the Quest version. And okay, two things, Ryan, and then I'm done. Uh, just for anyone who's confused out there, if you didn't understand it, release dates for Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners 2. Today, the Quest 2 version launched. There is no Quest 1 version coming. The PC version is coming in February of 2023. No specific date, but February. March, what is it, 20th? 21st? March
Something
21st, I
like
believe.
that. Yeah.
PSVR 2, so it's not a launch title. It's coming about a month later. That's so it comes up for PSVR 2 then. That's what I'm looking for. And the PSVR 1 version, literally in the notes I have, just says coming when it's ready, physical and digital release. So, I mean, I guess technically that could be this year, but I don't think so. I really do think it's going to be sometime in 2023. It's not their priority. That's definitely the vibe I got. One other thing that I keep seeing in comments, and I don't know if any of you guys are having this issue. The Quest version of Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 does say in the beginning that you can import your old save file, and I've seen like 4 or 5 comments already now on my review asking how to do that. This is one of the things that pisses me off about the Quest is that they do not save progress and game files separately. So unless it's a cloud save, and very few games do that on the Quest, when you delete, if you've deleted Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners from your Quest, it's gone. Game's gone. Your progress is gone. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, I won't let me import." That's probably why. So you've been warned. And honestly, guys, I started from fresh on the second game, and they give you a bunch of shit anyways. Like a couple of the old tables are like leveled up to 5 already anyways, and they give you a ton of crap to just recycle in your new base, and they give you your
They're all
wall.
waiting for the PSVR 2 version,
I
anyways.
know they are,
So
but
shut up.
but there's a
Shut
lot of
up about the Quest version.
I just feel like there's been a lot of questions answered, and I have this chance to tell people things, Ryan. I'm done. I'm done.
Good.
Ryan's making me shut up.
Guys, thank you so much. Our patrons, once again, thank you for support. Everyone who's in chat, Salvador for the super chat, you are awesome. Everybody else who just stuck around here and commented, you guys kick ass too. And yeah, thank you all. And that's all I have to say.
Good.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Bye, Chris.